Okay. So I will go ahead and get started here, but some of this may look a little bit different because I'm running this as a tester, not as a, and so it should look fairly similar to what you guys all see. But once you log in, just like normal, you'll go to the funding opportunity. Our new funding opportunity for EMPG is the FY 18-19 EMPG application. If you click on the application, you'll see here on the very front side, it'll give you the overview, some different information. At the bottom, there'll be some attachments in there. This year, we are using the funding formula. We have attached it as a PDF in there, so you guys can see. We did run it based on what was requested for the FY17 to show you how what you requested, what you would have received last year had we used the EMPG formula. The FY18 uses the same one, but it will be blank until we get your requested funds in there, and then we will push that back out once we have the federal funding known. The other big one on there is the SF 424, Assurance of Non-Construction. That one is required for EMPG. So you can download that one, fill it out, and then upload it into the application. So when you first come in, you will hit Start a New Application. You'll want to title this, and please title this based on your jurisdiction and the year of funding. So we'll FY18. Yeah. So you want to, label it FY18, your jurisdiction, and EMPG. And then make sure if you have more than one organization that you're on, that you select the right one. Hit save, and that will start the application. Same format as last year. We have modified just a couple different things. In order to complete this, you'll have to complete all of these different forms and have them marked as complete. So we'll go through them fairly quickly here. So on the first form here, information, it asks for your commissioner or CEO information, who your fiscal officer is. If you have any secondary point of contacts that you would like to have included in your grant, please include them in here. If you're full-time or part-time, and putting in how much time you work for as a DES coordinator. Your DUNS number, please make sure that you have 9 digits in there and that it is the correct DUNS number. This is a requirement for us to be able to provide federal funding. I believe that we have everyone's on file now, but if for some reason your DUNS number has changed or anything else, please make sure you put that in there with all 9 numbers. Under the signed EMPG assurances, this is where you'll upload your that SF 425B. That needs to be signed by a commissioner or your CEO. Your funding commitment letter, this is just saying how much the county is willing to match up to with your federal funds. This will be based obviously off of our funding formula. So based on how much funding the federal government gives us and how many people apply for funding this year will kind of dictate how much funding is available to each county. Oath of office, you don't need to do a new one, but if you have your previous, please upload it again in there as part of the requirements. And as we get into the MCA and baseline requirements, no real changes on these requirements this year. Same as last year, things that were that are out in the guidance documents as well from last year. The one big one that we've talked about is the EOP. So with the EOPs, what we're looking for is that you guys are making progress, have a record of change, or able to show that you guys have reviewed and worked on your EOP throughout the course of the year. With the thyroid development, again, that's really for us as part of the document or baseline requirements to participate in either the SPR or a thyroid session if we're using your jurisdiction for the thyroid. There will be a place for you to upload your training and exercise plan in this application, and we'll get to that. And then really pretty straightforward questions on this form. Once you've completed all this, you'll hit Save at the top, and then you can mark as complete once all of the information that's required is put in there. If you try and do it prior to, you will get a pop-up. It won't let you do it as a mark is complete unless you have all the information in. You can save this form without having to complete all the information. You'll just have to come back in to finish the required. So if you need to get information, make sure you hit save and come back to it at a later time. For the applicant assessment, we did try and simplify this a little bit. Again, same questions, much the same questions as last year. Looking at your financial organization, if you've had any changes with personnel or systems, if you have policies, procedures, any federal awards in the last 2 years. We also ask you, again, for your most updated or your latest audit for the county.
So I'm going to cut in here real quick. Where it talks about have you had any federal awards over the last 24 months, that means are you a direct recipient. So when you receive EMPG funds, you are considered a subrecipient because it goes through the state and then to you. That question pertains directly to whether or not your county or your tribe has received a federal award directly to the county or tribe, not through a pass-through entity.
So we're asking here too for your, if you've had your most recent audit information, any findings to deal with any of your federal funds that pass through to your organization. Next one is making sure you have a financial system that can verify your timesheets or reports to verify 100% of your time. I think most folks have separated accounts. Procurement, that's another big one. If you guys follow a local procurement or if you guys have adopted the state procurement policy, and making sure you guys have something on file that shows that you guys follow that certain procurement policy. Your job description, if you have one, please upload that. And then if you guys also have a grant-funded property or equipment inventory list that has been used, I don't necessarily need, if you guys keep it all on one sheet for things you guys purchased directly for the county, that's fine too, but we do need an updated equipment and property list, if you guys have one, showing what grant or that you have used grant funds for. And again, with this one, once you complete and upload everything, hit save at the top, and then you would hit mark complete to finish that one. For the EMPG work plan, this is the same as we've done the past 2 years. So in order to add different projects, you hit add at the right, you can name your project, what core capability, your end state, or your objective that you want to accomplish with that project, and then through the different quarters, what your expected progress and milestones will be for that project. Some of them may be the same throughout, especially if you're doing one that says response or something like that. They can, because you don't know exactly what you're going to do each quarter, but you want to have it in there in order to make sure that we can justify your actions during that time for your budget purposes as well. So again, nothing really different on this form from previous years. There are a couple things that are required in here before you can save. The other one is we've added this place in here for your training and exercise plan to have this uploaded in there for this next year for your updated TEP. So at the top, hit edit, and that'll open up the block for you to be able to upload your training and exercise plan in there. Once you have it uploaded, hit save, and it'll bring up and put it in there. The next one is the EMPG budget. Again, we haven't made any real changes to the budget from last year. We've kept it organized with organization, travel, supplies, equipment, planning, training, exercise, contractual, indirect, and M&A. Please remember, if you're going to use management and administration costs, that when you do ask for reimbursement on those, that you will have to have supporting documentation, whether it's a payroll, a time card, something that shows that the individual was working on the management and administration of this grant. On this form, please write in the description. So under personnel, if you have multiple people, please list the folks or positions that are funded through EMPG. Same with their fringe benefits. Organizational other costs. These items are things such as rent, cell phone, utilities, and please try to list those out if you know which ones they are, that you're going to be looking for in there.
Just so everybody's aware, when you go in and you do your accruals, they will not accept the term miscellaneous or other, or so in order to save yourself some grief when you do your accruals this year, make sure and put in, please, something that is actually categorically representative of what you are spending. So again, rent, utilities, cell phones, something like that, because otherwise we will need to get in touch with you around accrual time to have you correct it.
Travel costs, it's just one category. We don't split it out, so please, if you put in there for your description things such as district meetings, CERC meetings, MTDS workshop, things that you may know that you're planning on attending, trainings or exercise, you can put that in there as well for travel costs. Under supplies, again, this is really your office supplies, different things you may be looking to purchase over this next year under the threshold of 5,000. But really, this is an area where you're looking at more of your office supplies, day-to-day kind of things that you're using. Equipment, pretty self-explanatory. If you're looking at buying any large pieces or any communications equipment, that's where this would go. Your planning, training, and exercise, if you guys have a very specific project that you guys are doing or an exercise that you want to allot funding to, that's where you would place the funds for that. Under contractual, this is where if you have things such as Code Red or a IPAWS system that you have a contract for and you're paying with EMPG funds, you'd want to put it under contractual there. And if you guys, again, have for any of these areas, if you guys have questions or you guys are filling this out, please get a hold of us and we'll help you make sure we put them into the right categories. Under indirect costs, if you have an indirect cost agreement that has been completed, you'll need to attach your indirect cost rate proposal or your allocation plan and the indirect cost certification from the cognizant agency. So for most folks, the cognizant agency might be the Department of Public Health, or it's typically whoever you receive the most federal funding from for your county. So I know with tribes, it's usually Bureau of Indian Affairs, and counties is typically public health. So with that, and again, once you fill this out, hit save, fill everything out. Make sure that your federal request and your match amounts equal each other, because it is a 50-50 grant. Even if you're planning on using some soft match, please include that into your requested amounts in there. With that, I know I went through this fairly quick. However, there aren't very many changes from it this year. The biggest change that will occur is based on our the funding formula, is that once we get the federal amounts, we will send back out the amount of funding that that each jurisdiction is allowed based on what they're asking for. So we can talk this more too at MACO and go through that. As of right now, we don't know how much funding is going to be available, but we expect it, in talking with FEMA, to be about the same as what we had this last year. So we can expect about just a little over $2 million to be available for the local jurisdictions. And if so we kind of adjust that and look at saying that our funding will be about the same as what we received last year. So when we go through this, based on the funding commitment letters and what you guys put in, we will run that through our funding formula and then reopen the budget area to adjust for that once we have final numbers. So with that, are there any questions on the EMPG application for the FY 18-19 year?
Hi, this is Mary Nyhus from Daniels.
Yeah, Mary.
I'm just kind of curious. We don't have to apply for the amount you're allotting. We could do less.
Correct. Yes. So on the funding formula, that is showing. So the funding formula shows it based off of last year's amounts, and it shows. So what the anticipated amount is in the middle. Let me open let me go back and open that up so we can kind of look at this real quick. Why can't I get to it? Oops. So, under this formula, if you look here at the formula allocation, this is actually based off, this is based off of last year's numbers. So we use the $2,028,000 in there. That gives you the formula allocation. You can, because we have counties that know they can match more than that formula, and some counties that can't match up to that amount. So if you're unable to meet that full amount, that's what you would apply for. So if it says that you're allowed up to $25,000, but you know you're only going to be able to match $12,000, you would only apply for 12, and you will be guaranteed that $12,000 as long as we have, all that that our funding isn't cut significantly. So this is what you would be allowed to up to, and as long as you're below that number, you'll get 100% of it. If you're asking for more than the formula allocation number, it's going to be kind of prorated, so you may receive a little bit less than what you're asking for based on how much funds available. But we are expecting you to be able to get up to, kind of guaranteed up to that funding allocation amount.
Please keep in mind, though, everything that we do with this funding formula has to do with whether or not the federal government comes through with the amount of money that we're looking for. So just keep that in mind, and that way everybody kind of knows, yes, you are guaranteed to that amount, but only if we get the anticipated federal funding.
So did that answer your question, Mary?
Yeah, it sure did. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on how the funding formula is going to work or anything with the application? Other than the funding formula, there aren't too many changes with this. So, but again, anytime, please reach out to us as you guys are going through this. We'll help you through it. If for some reason there's a block in there that you're stuck on or something's not working, please get a hold of us right away, and we'll work to get it fixed. So. Okay. Any other questions? Like I said, I know we went through this very quickly, but I know if for newer coordinators, if you're on there and haven't gone through this in the past, we're here to help you walk through it. We'll also post this section up on our website. It'll be a YouTube link. But with that, I will go ahead and, not hearing any other questions, we'll go ahead and end the call. And I really appreciate everyone taking the time to sit through this and let us provide you guys this information. Enjoy your week.